walking through downtown Minneapolis, just got off the light rail at US Bank Stadium. Gonna head over towards Stone Arch Bridge, try and do some street photography, so come along for the ride. I love doing photography downtown. While it's not as hustling and bustling as it was maybe a generation ago when these streets would be packed with thousands of people going to and from work or going shopping or doing whatever, there is still a vibrancy, a life, and just a certain quality downtown that you don't get in other parts of the city. And I love being out here with my camera. So let's see, I'm just, like I said, walking from the metro, from the light rail, heading over towards the area where Stone Arch Bridge is. So let's see what we can do. Downtown, you get things that you just don't get in other parts of the city, like you get these skyways, which you can do lots of cool stuff with photographically. US Bank Stadium, which I always have sort of referred to as the Death Star. It's really weird looking, but it's supposed to look like a Viking ship, I guess, because it hosts the Minnesota Vikings. Something I hadn't thought about until I heard it explained that that's why it looks like that. You also get the downtown skyline, and hey, this time of year you get some beautiful, beautiful colors, fall colors on the trees. In fact, I'm going to stop and take some pictures here. In downtown Minneapolis, there's so many cool things to take photos of. I mean, there's all the standard stuff that most people know about, whether it's just the amazing skyline at night, or whether it's like US Bank Stadium or Stone Arch Bridge, or just some of the cool angles and lines that you get from all these downtown buildings. But there's also some sort of hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about, and one of them is this statue. I love this statue. It's so random. Like, what the heck is it doing in front of this random building here? I don't know. But the sunlight is just hitting it perfectly right now, so I'm going to stop and take some pictures. And right across the street from that statue, there are also these really cool two old statues. Well, not old statues, but statues of an old use of this building, which is now called the Depot. And it's like an event center and some other stuff, but it used to be a railroad depot. So as you can see, there's these old railroad lines that they preserved, and then there's these two statues of railroad workers. I love statues commemorating workers, the people who made these things work for all these years. Now they've been displaced. There's no longer a railroad depot here, but they preserve the memory of it through these railway lines and these really cool two little statues, which I'm going to get some pictures of right now. And I'm not going to stop there now, or maybe I'll go after Stone Arch Bridge. We'll see how late it gets. But behind me, you can't see it very well, the Guthrie Theater. They're really awesome. They let photographers go in there, and there's just some absolutely incredible places to do photography inside the Guthrie. So this area around the Stone Arch Bridge is the historic Mill District. It's the historic center of where this city started, and you still have some remnants of that which have been left, including the Mill City Museum. And on the back of that, over by the Stone Arch Bridge, you get a little bit of the original building, and then if you go down under the bridge, you see some cool remnants of that history. One thing about Minneapolis, and I think it's true of a lot of cities in the US, is that there's not really a great center of the city in the sense that there was maybe a generation ago, or like there are when you go to cities in Latin America or in Europe or other parts of the world now, where there's just a center of the city where people walk around and hang out and go to cafes, and there's just always people out and about. There's a few spots in the Twin Cities where people do spend time out and just wandering around, just hanging out. Not many though, and there's not really a center you can point to the city. But that's one thing I love about the Stone Arch Bridge. Almost anytime you come here, people will be just walking across the bridge or standing on the bridge, hanging out. A lot of times you'll see photographers around here. It's a popular place for people to do, like whether it's engagement photos or graduation photos or senior photos, things like that. Lots of photographers and people doing photos around here. One great photographic item that people put in their photos a lot is that gold medal flower sign, as you can see there. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. It's really cool. And then at night, it lights up, so that also makes it even better for photography of the skyline at night. And then another old sign that has been sort of recommissioned and now lights up at night as well. Right above where I am almost is this North Star Blankets sign with the red star. Super cool. So I'm arriving at the Stone Arch Bridge. You can see the fence, you see it going across this way. You see some of the arches down there. Like I mentioned before, if you go down below the bridge, here it says Mill Ruins Park. So if you go down to the park below here, follow the paths, you can see some of the historic milling equipment that has been preserved and is on display there. You can't see it from where I am now, but if you come to Minneapolis and want to check it out, this is the spot. Alright, so now I'm on Stone Arch Bridge, coming out on the downtown Minneapolis side. As you can see, it curves around here. You can't see the other end of the bridge from this side and vice versa, so that's kind of a cool feature, just the curve. And I mentioned before the Guthrie Theater. So here's the Gold Medal Flower sign. If you look back here, behind that, there's what's called the Endless Bridge from the Guthrie Theater, and you can go out there and get an incredible view of the Stone Arch Bridge from there and the whole city, so definitely recommend doing that. Also, I mentioned before the remnants of the flour mills that this city was built on, that were the original center of the city. You can see here what's been preserved from some of the original mills that's on the back of the museum that has been built to preserve that history, and then they've also left some of the original structure intact. Alright, now we're starting to get some of the really cool reasons to come down here. You see the sun is setting, it's getting low in the sky behind the Minneapolis skyline. In a little bit, it'd be amazing for pictures. And then as you look over here, you see the Mississippi River on this side. You can actually see the dam. I'll show that when I get over there. And on this side you have over there the 35W bridge, which lights up at night and is just beautiful, amazing for photos at night when it lights up. Look at these shadows from the fence, just super cool for photography. Amazing light. Then I'm going to cross here so we can see the river on this side and then start to see the dam, which generates, I think still generates energy for the city, if I'm not crazy. You can see part of it there, but it's just an incredibly powerful dam on the river. And now you can see really more of the dam here and the power of it. There's also another bridge over there, which is great for photography as well. Thank you, bridge builders, for making photography so much more interesting. And now from where I am here, you can get a view of the entire dam, which is really amazing and powerful if you think about the power of all that water coming over that dam 24 hours a day. And then we got the skyline right over here. So slightly different angle here. You can still see the sun going down over the skyline. Unfortunately, I can't stay much longer, so I won't get the full sunset and won't get to see the colors in the sky today. We'll do that another day. I also won't get to do night photography where you get the skyline lit up and just some of the most beautiful pictures you can get of the skyline of Minneapolis. So we'll do that in another video. Also, just wanted to point out real quick, if you look at my hat, on the side of my hat you see the sunlight creating a sort of rim of light around my black hat, and that's called rim lighting. It's super important, really good for doing portraits and other things. I'll do a video about that at some point, but just keep in mind rim lighting. Having backlighting is really great as long as you're lit well from the front as well. One thing I just want to emphasize, if you look at this fence and the shadow it's casting, and then just look at the skyline, it's really cool to have that shadow, thinking about ways you can use that in the photo of the skyline, because there's hundreds of people here, maybe thousands every day, who take pictures of the skyline, sort of snap a quick picture with their phone or with their camera maybe. You get the skyline, it's beautiful, I do it too, but it's kind of generic, you know, it's like the Wikipedia entry is going to have that picture in it. But if you want to think photographically, you can kind of think about different creative angles or foreground elements or background elements you can include in a photo that add interest to it. And I think my favorite photo that I've done today before I leave the bridge is this photo that I included the foreground shadow. That's really the star of the show in the picture, and the skyline is in the background, a little blurred out even, and that's fine. It's different. It's a different take on a classic picture, and something to always think about. Instead of just snapping the most obvious picture, take that picture, master that, of course, but also look for other items, elements of interest that could make it a little different than everyone else's picture. Like this great shadow that the sun, as it's going down, is casting on this fence, creating this really interesting foreground element of these lines that can really be used as leading lines to lead you to the sunset and to the skyline. Like I mentioned before, there's always photographers on the bridge. As you can see over here, there's someone doing some photos, which is really cool to see. There was also another person doing photos, which I'm guessing are senior photos before. And even more important, if you look in the background, you can see an ice cream truck. I think I'm going to get some ice cream. Just ordered my ice cream and Just right over here, you can see someone doing some photos too. Also, guessing that looks like probably senior photos. One thing I'll note is that with buildings, with portraits, especially with portraits, it's super important. But also with buildings and when you're taking pictures of things downtown or wherever you are, pay attention to light. Where is the sun? Where is the light source? How is it hitting the thing that you're taking the picture of? Because that can make the difference between a super, super interesting picture and kind of just a boring, drab picture. For example, I'm standing in front of US Bank Stadium. Super cool building, just all glass, mirrors, reflects light in super interesting ways. So always pay attention to where the light is hitting. Where's the light coming from? In this case, the sun. Where's the sun coming from? It's low in the sky, it's hitting the side of the building, producing this really cool effect. Amazing for photography. Knowing how to look at light and where the light is and how the light is hitting your subject can make the difference between a boring, drab, everyday picture that could appear in a Wikipedia article about your subject versus something with much more interest and much more pop. Another important thing for me, I always look for reflections. Look for reflections. Look at the stadium right there. You see the reflection of the Minneapolis skyline in the glass of the building. That can be amazing for photographs. Reflections, look for reflections. Now here's what you're probably waiting for, some of the pictures that I took on my photo walk. Here's one of the Minneapolis skyline with the beautiful fall colors in the foreground. Here's one that I took of the US Bank Stadium with some fall colors in the foreground. And another one, wider view of US Bank Stadium with some of the trees, the fall colors. Love this one of Minneapolis City Hall with the fall colors in the foreground and some people in the foreground walking towards the camera. Foreground elements are important. Oh, here's that cool statue, one view of it. Here's another view of the statue. And I had a detail shot of the statue too. I love getting little close-up detail shots, the toes. Here are the statues across the street from there of the workers from the depot. Another shot of that. As you can see, I did some close-ups. I didn't do pictures of the whole statue. Got close-ups of different elements, and sometimes that's really the way to go. Get detail shots. You don't need to get the whole thing in the picture to express what it's about. Here's what I was talking about with reflections. You get US Bank Stadium with the reflection of the skyline of the city of Minneapolis in the reflection in the windows of the stadium. Now back to the Stone Arch Bridge, the pictures you were probably waiting for of the skyline. Here's a pretty standard one, skyline, people on the bridge in front of it. Good photo, I think. But here's the money shot. This is the one that I'm most proud of from the day, where I got down low, got the shadows casting from the fence in the foreground and the skyline in the background and some people in between. This is really a shot I'm proud of, and you also see the sun in the picture as well. Thanks for coming along with me on my photo walk to the Stone Arch Bridge. Hit like and subscribe so you can see future videos.